everybody. You are tuned in to the City of Lafayette's 2022 State of the City address. And my name is Suzanne Erla. I'm the city's communications analyst. Before we get started, I just wanted to go over a few logistics. First of all, I wanted to thank you all so much for tuning in. We are streaming this State of the City address to Zoom, as well as to the city's YouTube channel. Unfortunately, having a technical difficulty and do not have it live on Facebook right now, but we will replay the video and have it available on Facebook as a recording. So welcome to everyone joining us on Zoom and via YouTube. I wanted to kind of go over a couple more logistics. If you are participating on Zoom and have any questions that you would like to ask during the question and answer session this evening, there is a Q&A button in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen, and you can go ahead and type your question into there. And when we get to that portion of the event, I will read those questions out. So thank you very much in advance for everyone that's already submitted a question over email or that will be submitting a question live via Zoom tonight. Tonight's wonderful event will include a welcome from Fred Steingraff, the president of the Lafayette Chamber of Commerce. They are a wonderful partner for the city, and they do so much for our community, and they are co-sponsoring this event tonight. And then after we have that welcome, we will of course have Mayor Gerringer's State of the City address. Followed by that presentation, you'll have the opportunity to meet the Lafayette city manager and department heads, and then we'll have a Q&A session, and we are going to end the evening with some entertainment. So without further ado, I would like to pass it over to Fred.
Thanks, Suzanne. Good evening, everybody. I'm Fred Steingraff, president of the Lafayette Chamber of Commerce, and I'm pleased to be here with you this evening. Before we get to our guest of honor, I just wanted to remind everybody that nominations for Citizen of the Year are due tomorrow at noon. So if you have somebody that you would like to nominate, please go on to the Chamber of Commerce website and nominate that person right there. So the Lafayette Chamber has had the honor of introducing our current mayor to give their State of the City address for over 32 years. With the help of technology, we're able to bring Mayor Gerringer to you live wherever you happen to be. Teresa Gerringer has been serving Lafayette and Contra Costa County for well over 20 years, with 18 years of service on the Lafayette School Board. She's been a political strategist and has conducted community building at the county level. Teresa has been a district director for State Senator Steve Glazer, a two-term president and founding member of the Lafayette Community Foundation, a charter member of the Lafayette Library and Learning Center Foundation Board, advisor on the Chamber Board, and now serves as mayor of Lafayette. And that's just the short list, folks. So on behalf of the Lafayette Chamber Board of Directors, I present to you Mayor Teresa Gerringer.
Thank you very much, Fred. And if I wrinkled my nose, it's that I always am sort of humbled by introductions. So anyway, thank you very much. And I want to say good evening to everyone and thank you for joining us this evening. And before I kick off, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for co-hosting the 2022 Lafayette State of the City. And I want to thank Suzanne for kicking us off with that Love Lafayette slideshow. There is many reasons to love Lafayette as there are people who live here. And every now and then, I think it's important to take a moment to step back and remember why we love Lafayette. So I hope that each of you saw something that caused you to smile and take that bumper sticker catchy phrase to heart. I want to also add that I, like former Mayor Candell, had hoped that we would be together at the Lafayette Park Hotel celebrating the Chamber of Commerce Business Person of the Year. Congratulations, John McCormick. Catching up with friends and offering a very brief update on the state of the city while enjoying each other's company. Alas, 2 years into the pandemic, here we are again in the comfort of our homes. I want to thank you for making the time to be here, and thank you to the Chamber and to Suzanne for making sure that we could continue to do this. excuse me, before I provide an update on our 2021 accomplishments, I want to recognize my colleagues on the council. While I'm honored to serve as mayor this year, we are a team of equals in representing and governing the city. So thank you to Vice Mayor Carl Anduri and council members Susan Kendall, Gina Dawson, and Wei Tai Kwok for your service. I would also like to thank the commissioners and committee members who also volunteer countless hours to ensure the smooth running of our city. Despite normal city operations being hampered by the pandemic, as well as staff shortages, working together with you, we made considerable progress on Lafayette's priorities of public safety, wildfire preparedness, DEI, and rebuilding our local economy. 2021 was a busy year for transportation and safety around our schools. Thanks to staff, volunteers on Transportation and Circulation Commission, the 2 school districts, and active participation by residents, we initiated the Burton Valley Safe Routes to School pilot study, conducted safety assessments around our schools, and installed some safety improvements near Spring Hill School. Tool Design, the consultant hired to assist with the school safety assessment, is scheduled to provide their recommendations for short, mid, and long-term projects in the coming months, with the plan to implement some quick build projects over the summer and prior to the start of school in August of this year. Working with the Contra Costa Transportation Authority and the Lafayette School District, the Street Smart Safety Program was set up to educate the community on safety measures for drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists. I hope that you have seen and complied with the lawn signs and banners throughout the community. If you haven't signed the Street Smarts Safety Pledge, I encourage you to take the pledge now. Thanks to local residents and Assembly Member Rebecca Bauer-Cahan, the city received funding to design a safe pedestrian bicycle pathway on Pleasant Hill Road to Acalanes High School. And in November, the council adopted a resolution committing to Vision Zero, and as part of the budget process, set aside funding for short-term implementation and staffing. In the coming months, you will hear a lot about Vision Zero, which is a change in philosophy that places public safety as the highest priority in managing our city transportation system, with the goal of reducing and eventually eliminating fatalities and severe injuries among all road users. It is the lens that we will use to look at transportation projects in the future. The next step in the process is to develop our local road safety plan in conjunction with a stakeholder and community task force. The development of the plan and the implementation of any safety measures will involve robust public engagement. It is estimated that we will have the consultant in place and the task force formed by April, with the plan developed in October of this year. And again, there will be ample opportunities for the public to learn more and be engaged in the process as we move forward. Recognizing that wildfire prevention and preparation is an ongoing priority that requires all of us to do our part, I'm happy to report that we have made progress. Over the last several years, Lafayette residents have continued to increase participation in the community-wide warning system. If you haven't signed up yet, I encourage you to do so now. In partnership with Contra Costa Fire Protection District, ConFire, and you, the residents, we launched FireWise with 2 neighborhoods joining the program and 8 neighborhoods in the application phase. Working with Moraga Arenda Fire Protection District and Zone Haven, we completed a review of our fire evacuation routes. We held a fire prevention summit that included ConFire, PG&E, CERT, the Emergency Preparedness Commission, and the Lafayette Police Department to go over plans for addressing fire prevention, PSPS, public safety power shutoff events, and emergency response. This event was very well attended. Working with PG&E, backup power was installed at the Jennifer Russell Building to be a community resource center during PSPS events. And we had secured a grant of $250,000 to purchase radios and equipment to help the city and our school district respond to disasters. I have been especially excited to see the work that we, the residents, have done to create defensible space around our properties, especially the removal of so many dead trees. I look forward to continuing to work with the community and our partners to ensure that Lafayette is prepared. In 2021, the City Council continued the work of the Lafayette Equity and Inclusion Task Force, forming and supporting the Community Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee. This committee, led by a diverse group of Lafayette residents, held 26 meetings and 3 community conversations, with the 4th conversation in partnership with the Lafayette Homeowners Council coming up on March 10th. The city participated in United Against Hate Week, which culminated in a community-wide sunrise walk at the reservoir. And over 50 people participated in implicit bias training offered to the City Council, staff, and commissioners. Continuing to collaborate with the committee, schools, businesses, and individuals to make Lafayette as inclusive and welcoming as possible remains a strong priority for me and for the council. Creating a vibrant downtown and supporting the business community has always been a priority in Lafayette, and never more so than during the COVID pandemic. As the shelter in place began almost a little over 2 years ago, and through today, as we are again beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel, the community has come together to support our small businesses. In 2021, the city continued to work to ensure that we got relief and economic recovery funding directly to our businesses. Working with Townsend and Associates, we continue to assist businesses through the Business Assistance Program, which since April 2020 has helped businesses receive $2 million in federal, state, and local COVID assistance funds. We launched the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, Economic Recovery Program, and so far we have allocated $840,000 of the initial funding to assist businesses through support to the Chamber, continuing to engage Townsend and Associates to help businesses connect with funding, a business district marketing program, small business technical assistance, a gift card pilot program, outdoor dining assistance, and a business district shopping shuttle pilot program, to name just a few of the efforts. As we move forward to fully reopening and recovery, we will continue to actively pursue our share of regional, state, and federal funding to support residents, businesses, and nonprofits in pandemic recovery. If you haven't already heard, a big boost to creating vibrancy in the downtown will be the reopening in 2023 of the Park Theater, thanks to the work of an amazing group of committed volunteers who formed the Park Theater Trust, the new owner of the Park Theater. The City Council was pleased to be able to direct funds to this effort and to continue to partner on this exciting endeavor. In addition to the priorities above and the day-to-day operations of the city, Lafayette is also in the process of updating our general plan. In 2019, the council kicked off this work, appointing residents to the General Plan Advisory Committee, GPAC, tasking them with leading the effort. Due to state mandates and deadlines, the 11-member all-volunteer GPAC jumped right in to updating the housing element for review by the Planning Commission and the City Council, including identifying sites to accommodate 2,114 new housing units that the state of California has assigned to Lafayette as part of its Regional Housing Needs Allocation, RHNA, and ensuring that we have the appropriate buffer. Since they were appointed, the General Plan Advisory Committee has held over 30 meetings to work on the housing element update and to update the city's mission statement. They have hosted 9 public engagement workshops, conducted 6 surveys, and have had hundreds of members of the public participate in the process. They are halfway through the draft housing element update, and after extensive community input, have presented a mission statement recommendation to the council. They are also on track to turn over drafts of the housing element to the Planning Commission and ultimately the City Council for review and action. They will be looking at opportunity sites and encourage public input over the next month or so. I just want to point out that this is very difficult work that has surfaced the many different opinions about how to comply with the laws, do our part in addressing the housing crisis and impacts of climate change while protecting the character of our community. As one GPAC member asked early on, can't we start with something easier? I personally want to thank each of the GPAC members for stepping up and making the commitment to do this work on behalf of all residents, businesses, and property owners in Lafayette. And I want to give a special thanks also to the Chamber for being a dedicated and committed partner in this important endeavor. As we celebrate the accomplishments of 2021, and as we continue to do the work, we need everybody in the community to be as engaged and involved as possible. You will hear this theme from me over and over again this year. For all the reasons that we love Lafayette and we want it to be the best place it can be to live, work, and play, we have as many opinions on how to make that happen. In order to be successful, we need transparent, open communications and community involvement. If you aren't already, I encourage you to sign up for the city's notifications so that you know what is happening, when it's happening, and how you can make your voice heard. The last 2 years have been difficult, and I, for one, look forward to attending community events and reconnecting. Please save June 4th for Lafayette's first Lafayette Community Day, presented by the Lafayette Community Foundation in collaboration with the city and the Chamber of Commerce. Before I close my remarks, I want to acknowledge that without the amazing Lafayette City staff and department heads, under the leadership of our city manager, Nirup Srivatsa, implementation of our goals and priorities wouldn't happen. And our staff has gone above and beyond over the last 2 years to continue to provide high quality services to our residents. When you see them or interact with them, please thank them. I look forward again to the time that we can meet in person, both in council meetings and at events in the community. In the meantime, I encourage us all to please be kind, patient, and open-minded, and remember, we're all in this together. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to having you meet some of our fabulous department heads in just a moment. Thanks.
Mayor, thank you so much for that great presentation. That was really wonderful to hear that from you. So next, I would actually like to introduce our lovely city manager, Nirup Srivatsa, to tell us a little bit about herself and the city, and then we'll also bring in the department heads as well. So Nirup, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Suzanne, and thank you, Mayor Gerringer and President Fred. Suzanne, wanted us to give you a 90-second pitch on who we are, what we do, and finally, what our favorite sandwich is. So here goes. I'm Nirup Srivatsa, and I'm your city manager. I joined Lafayette in 1992 as the planning director and became city manager in 2019. As the planning director, I was involved in the last general plan update, and I am so very impressed by our community's interest and involvement in the current update to the general plan. I have the privilege of leading a group of very talented, very hardworking, and very dedicated professionals. You see their photos around me. The city has 44 full-time staff and several part-time staff members. We have 5 city departments, and the 5 department heads you will meet very shortly, and I have a combined total of 125 years of service to Lafayette. We really do love Lafayette. Now on to my favorite sandwich. It's called pav bhaji. It's an Indian sandwich. It's a spicy vegetable curry on butter toasted buns that should be eaten with pickled onions and raw green chilies. You will love it. It will surely get your taste buds dancing. Before I turn it over to Suzanne, I just wanted to wish all of you a very safe, healthy, and happy 22. Over to Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Nirup. So yes, the next portion of our event this evening is to hear from the department heads. So I'll be introducing Tracy Robinson, the Administrative Services Director, Greg Wolf, the Planning and Building Director, Jonathan Katiyanagi, the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Director, Mike Moran, the Director of Engineering Services and Public Works, and our Police Chief, Ben Aldred. So first, I will love to throw it over to Tracy.
I think I got that down after all this time. Hi, I'm Tracy Robinson, Administrative Services Director. I've been with the city for 21 years, and it'll be 22 years in May, actually. And as the Director of Administrative Services, we oversee, there's basically 5 functions in our department. The first is finance. We are responsible for the budget, for paying the bills, for receiving the money, for doing the payroll. Second is HR. So we are responsible for basically the well-being of the employees that we have, and also for recruiting new employees. Responsible for information technology, making sure that the employees have all of the equipment that they need, computers, network. We outsource a lot of those functions, but we still oversee them. Also in that realm is overall responsibility for the website. Fourth is risk management, making sure that basically that's all the insurance that the city carries, and making sure that we're doing our part to make the city safe. We don't want lawsuits. And lastly, under administration is the functions of the city clerk. So we do all of those things, and currently we have, with myself, there are only 4 other people in the whole department. So I want to thank the Assistant Administrative Services Director, Jennifer Wakeman, her staff, Mrs. Robin Townley and Debbie Yankee. And then of course we have City Clerk Joanne Robbins, who many of you are familiar with. And Joanne is also responsible for elections, which are very important, very complicated. Let's see, I wanted to say really quickly that my main thing that I'm concentrating on right now is recruiting. We have a lot of jobs that are coming open, and I'm using this as an appeal to all of you in the city. Keep an eye on our page on the website. It's lovelafayette.org/jobs. Currently, we've got 4 engineering jobs posted. We'll be following up with some planning jobs. And then following that, there will be some jobs in administration. So keep an eye on that. You can sign up for notification when those go live. And I'm sure we have many capable people in the city, and I'm sure you all know some folks who might be great for those jobs. As for my favorite sandwich, I don't know, I love sandwiches. It's hard to pick a favorite, but the one that sticks out most in my mind is I was just recently at North Star in Lake Tahoe, and I had something very simple, which was tomato soup and grilled cheese. And I don't know what kind of wizardry they did with this particular grilled cheese, because it was literally just bread and cheese, but it was the best grilled cheese I've ever had in my life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tracy. So next we will have Greg Wolf, the Planning and Building Director.
Thank you, Suzanne. As mentioned, I'm Greg Wolf, the Planning and Building Director. I have been with the city for 25 years, as has Mike Moran, who's coming up shortly. We were hired on the same day. I studied architecture and landscape architecture and city and regional planning in college. And I got into planning because just fundamentally, our surroundings are how we experience the world. And that is true of either the built environment or the natural environment. And planners are responsible for kind of both of those things. It is a fascinating job because it requires kind of familiarity and working with so many different disciplines, be it architects, landscape architects, arborists, engineers, builders. So it's always something new and interesting every day. The Planning and Building Department is responsible for a host of things. The simplest part is the building department aspect, which since the city incorporated has been handled by Contra Costa County Building Inspection. So Lafayette, a small jurisdiction, we do not have the wherewithal to have our own building department. Similar with Moraga, Orinda, and other small communities in Contra Costa County. So we, by contract, use Contra Costa County to do plan check services and inspection under the building code. What we do in-house is planning, and that is historically split into current planning and advanced planning. So current planning is giving out information on zoning, on land use, permissible uses, design review, so review of projects that are being proposed against the adopted policies and zoning codes, et cetera. So we process over 300 discretionary applications a year, and those would be health site development permits, design review, et cetera. Separate from that is advanced planning, which is developing long-range planning documents and policy documents like the general plan. So that document has many components to it: land use, circulation, housing, safety, and it's kind of sets forth the direction and guidance for making decisions over the next 25 years or so. During the pandemic, we have expanded our ways to reach a planner. We are accessible via telephone, email. We have restored the counter in-person visits. You can make an appointment to do that. And also we established and will continue with a virtual counter. So we alternate between all those different avenues to be accessible. We have all online applications now, be it for building permit or a planning application. We support six entities, if you will, that certainly the council with land use and planning matters, the Planning Commission, Design Review Commission, General Plan Advisory Committee, the Environmental Task Force, and the Downtown Street Improvement Master Plan Implementation Committee. And I am looking forward to going camping with my scout this weekend and doing some archery. And I love a good bento box for lunch, but I think if I had to choose a favorite sandwich, it would be a simple classic BLT for nostalgic purposes.
Great. Thank you so much, Greg. That was a great overview of your very busy department. Another busy department we have in the city is the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Department. So next, we will hear from Jonathan Katiyanagi.
Hello, and thank you, Mayor. Let me see. So I'm Jonathan Katiyanagi. I am the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Director. We also cover senior services and senior transportation. I've been with the city, let's see, my father dropped me off at the roller hockey rink 24 years ago. I fell in love with the community center. I fell in love with the people. And many of you, many of the families in Lafayette know me as ACE because I've gotten to be a camp counselor, got to work with the youth commission, recreation coordinator, recreation supervisor, and now the director of Parks, Trails, Recreation, Senior Services, and Senior Transportation. And we are happy to say we are here for you in Lafayette. The La Miranda Spirit Van is providing transportation rides. So if you or loved ones need rides to medical appointments, shopping, restaurants, we're happy to help. Just contact us, go to the website, look for the La Miranda Spirit Van. Our Senior Services Department is offering classes in person and on Zoom. So no matter your comfort level, we are offering both Zoom classes and in-person classes to make sure we're serving everyone's needs. The same with the Recreation Department. We're offering classes for adults, seniors, and children, and childcare. We're offering preschool for our tiny tots, and also childcare in the form of summer camps and our after-school awesome programs. We're trying to grow that program every year. We're seeing a bigger need in the community for that after-school care, and the department is really working hard to serve that need. Our doors are open at the community center, so if you need to rent a room to have a family party or an outdoor gathering at the group picnic area, we are still renting those facilities, so feel free to contact us if you'd like to make use of those services at the Lafayette Community Center. We are also starting events up again. So we are in an effort to be more inclusive. We have changed our father-daughter dance to a family dance that will be happening on March 11th. So all are welcome to purchase tickets and take part in this COVID-friendly outdoor event. The Youth Commission will also be offering another outdoor movie night coming up as well. So we're remaining very active in the special event world. Let's see, if you have anything that you'd like to see as far as improvements for older adults in the community, the Lafayette Senior Service Commission is working on an age-friendly action plan. And you can email any advice, anything you'd want included in that plan to seniors@lovelafayette.org. And they are working on the AARP 8 domains of livability to improve the city's age-friendly, the age-friendliness of the city. And that we're also very excited that we have the Senior Service Commission and the Youth Commission working together on a fun event called Lafayette Rocks, where we'll be getting older adults together with the teens in the community to paint rocks and just enjoy that community conversation together as part of the Lafayette Rocks event. Let me see, if you are in an effort to create more safer routes to school, if your neighborhood has any trails that they would like to capture with easements, please feel free to reach out to our trail subcommittee. We are happy to help establish any of those trails, and we're always looking for more parkland, and we're expanding those efforts to expand our park system as well with the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Commission. And one of our proudest efforts right now at the community center, the most age-friendly activity I've seen introduced in Lafayette in a long time, is the Lafayette pickleball courts. And if you have not been over there, we just renewed our partnership with the volunteers of the Lafayette Pickleball Club to provide free pickleball at the Lafayette roller hockey rink. The volunteers come and set up and take down the nets for us to help keep that program free for all. And I see very young children up to older adults out there playing every day, and it is just the most accessible, fun activity. And there is a wonderful group out there that would be happy to teach you a lot about pickleball. let's see, when it comes to a sandwich, my favorite sandwich is any sandwich that I did not make. People like the sandwiches I make, but for some reason it does not taste the same if I make it. I think it must be the love that others put into the sandwich. I could use the same ingredients, make it the same way, and I'm just happy to enjoy a sandwich with somebody else.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ace. So next we're going to hear from Mike Moran, the Director of Engineering and Public Works.
Well, good evening, Lafayette. I am Mike Moran, and I started as an assistant engineer with the city in 1997. Greg said we had 25 years here. I'm going to say that's not completely factual until about July 8th of this year, but we're pushing a quarter of a century. Public Works and Engineering maintains and improves the public infrastructure in Lafayette. It's like having a 10 square mile front yard that everybody can use. And we got to keep it functional. We've got roads and drains and street lights and traffic signals and the Lafayette Library and Learning Center. And the only exception that's not part of the public infrastructure are the parks and trails that Jonathan and his crew maintain. So we've got a lot going on. We do the paving projects. Some of our recent completed projects are we paved a large portion of Moraga Road coming down the hill from Moraga, a large portion of Reilly's Valley Road. We also reconstructed a large portion of the Reilly's Valley Road pathway, which was in need of some repair and widening and ADA improvements for accessibility. So those are the types of things we do to maintain and keep up our streets. And we've also been responsible for implementing some of those traffic calming and safety measures around schools, including the current Burton Valley pilot study that our mayor alluded to earlier. There'll be more to come in that area. So kind of all encompassing, provided it's in the public right of way. You know, asking a parent which child they love the most is kind of unfair. And I don't think I can narrow it down to a single sandwich either. So I'm going with three, the ever popular grilled cheese, the turkey with cranberry, and the barbecued beef, all tasty in their own different ways. So wonderful working for you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mike. And next we are going to hear from the Lafayette Police Chief, Ben Oldred.
Good evening, Mayor, and thank you, Chamber. We've enjoyed a very good partnership with our Chamber of Commerce over the years in partnering with them on a lot of different events, specifically the Res Run and the Lafayette Art and Wine Festival. My name is Ben Oldred. I've had the honor of serving as your police chief since April 1st of 2018. It's getting close to 4 years now. As you all know, we are a contract city with the Sheriff's Office, and so serving as your chief, I'm also lieutenant within the Sheriff's Office. Having been in law enforcement now, I'm getting close to 20 years. Never thought I would say that number. In our police department, we are made up of our patrol, traffic, and investigations teams. Patrol is staffed by 8 officers, both working. We have 2 beats per shift. Essentially, take Mount Diablo and split it in half. The beat to the north and the beat to the south. And we call that beat 40 and 41. So you always have 2 patrol officers on duty 24/7. They are supplemented by 2 traffic officers who work during the week, Monday through Friday, during those daytime hours when you have that influx of traffic, schools in session, et cetera. And then we're also supported by 2 detectives that do all of our investigations, whether it's property crime or crime involving our citizens being injured or attacked or things of that nature. I do have the benefit of 2 wonderful sergeants. They work tirelessly, and we're looking forward to bringing on a 3rd sergeant here probably in the next month or so to increase our supervision and overall just quality of service. And of course, there's me. So I also serve as your emergency services manager, and in that role, I partner with the Emergency Preparedness Commission on a variety of projects, and I also serve with the Crime Prevention Commission when we look at crime trends and issues that may be on the rise we want to address quickly. And having the benefit of both these commissions is wonderful. We meet monthly, and those are publicly noticed meetings. So if you're interested in emergency preparedness or crime prevention, please go to the city website and look for those meetings. Also within the police department, we currently still have code enforcement within the police department. And we also have parking enforcement. And Kathy Surgis Moscato, a 25-year employee of the city of Lafayette, serves as my office manager slash manager of parking enforcement slash the real chief of Lafayette Police Department. But she's great and very excited to have the resources that we do have. We're also supported by 2 full-time CSIs that do a variety of tasks for us, along with John Cornell, who serves in multiple roles, both IT and emergency preparedness, along with Sharon Lloyd, our full-time parking enforcement officer, who's supported by 4 part-time parking enforcement officers. I think the mayor did a great job of highlighting some accomplishments that I'm very proud of when it comes to emergency preparedness. Just to add in on those things, if you have not, I would encourage you to visit alertwildfire.org. It is a camera system that was started at the University of Nevada, Reno, and is supported throughout the Western states. And prior to November of 2019, we had none of these cameras in Contra Costa. And now, courtesy of the support of the council and our city manager, Lafayette PD has installed over 35 cameras in and around the La Miranda area, specific for early detection of fires in partnership with Confire. And so if you haven't checked that out, please do. If you hear of a fire in the local area, if you smell smoke, if you go to alertwildfire.org, I can almost promise you there's a camera pointed at that, which will give you good situational awareness. And that camera is updated every 10 seconds with an image of what's going on. So definitely encourage folks to check that out. Just to add on emergency preparedness, we also have our AM radio station, AM 1670. That was put in a couple of years ago in partnership with Jeff Heyman, our prior PIO. And now Suzanne has the job of making sure that we keep that alive and well in partnership with John from the PD. Traffic, as the mayor highlighted, traffic safety, our pedestrian safety, the safety of our bicyclists and drivers has been a highlight and a priority in our town. We do have a limited staff, but we always look for ways to flex, if you will, what we do have. And just for the purposes of this meeting, we currently are staffing an extra officer as available on our days of the week to do specifically traffic enforcement. And our traffic motor officers are also coming out on overtime to do additional traffic enforcement and address these concerns. And along with our parking enforcement folks, specifically Sharon, going daily out to school sites looking for violations that would potentially attribute to unsafe conditions for kids at those school sites and or drivers. And so a sandwich. I'm sure you're all going to think I'm going to say donuts or something, but I love a turkey sandwich. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chief. And thank you to everyone for giving that great overview of the city departments and various services and programs that we offer, and the little opportunity to get to know you all a bit better by sharing your favorite sandwich. So thank you very much for your time and participating tonight. So we do have about 70 people participating in this event live, either on Zoom or on YouTube. And so the next portion of the evening will be the question and answer session. I did also want to mention that following the question and answer session, you will definitely want to stay tuned, because we have a lively pre-recorded entertainment piece from the Stanley Middle School Symphonic Band. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you are on the Zoom call now and wish to submit a comment, go ahead and click on the Q&A button in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen and type your question into us there. We have received a number of questions, and so I will just jump right into it. So the first question that we received is, Mayor, could you tell us what the city is doing to reduce the threat of wildfire?
Thank you, Suzanne. And I think that I pretty much covered that during the actual comments, but I know that the chief talked about cameras, and I think that we're working very closely with our fire protection district, and then also with residents and the police department. Ben, I don't know if you have something else that you want to add to what we've covered already.
I'll just add in that wildfire preparedness has been a collaborative effort for several years now between Con Fire, Moraga Fire, and the three police departments. Everything from Zone Haven to CWS to the AM radio station, which is accessible in Moraga and Orinda, and we partnered with them to be able to utilize that during emergencies, to the alert wildfire cameras. So it is always a high priority. And in fact, I just met this morning with Dennis Rain from Moraga Orinda Fire, sort of sketching out plans for this year, whether it's training for police staff, fire staff, and also our city staff, our department heads, who get activated during times where you have to activate our emergency operations center. So this topic is alive and well, and we're always reevaluating, looking at where we're at. In fact, our city manager just signed off on a grant submission to the state, to CAL FIRE, for some additional tools that allow for better fuel mitigation into the future. So.
Thank you. And I do want to just also, I mentioned it during my comments, but I also want to lift up or give a shout out to the CERT and the Emergency Preparedness Commission. A year or so ago, and it's on the website, we all received a packet and a brochure that talks about all the steps that we should take to be prepared, both personally and for our property. And that is now a countywide, maybe a statewide resource, and it started here in Lafayette. And so I think that we have very good partnerships and very strong, but if you have ideas for how to enhance or you see things, please let us know.
Thank you. So the next question has come in over the Zoom platform, and Mayor, I know that you and the council deal with a variety of issues. However, the question is, what is your favorite issue?
And I can see who that is, and I think probably he's going to ask it at every time that I'm on the mic. But as I said, the last time that this question was asked, they're all important. And I'm not just saying that as a politician, but I do also, as noted during the mayor's comments when we did the reorganization, that there are a number of things that are very important, and they happen to align with the priorities of the community. So the safety around schools, our diversity, equity, and inclusion work, and some other things that are not necessarily in the city, in my city council role, is also mental health and wellness, particularly for our students. And so Dennis, I will find a more perfect answer to the question of what is my favorite issue, but that's my response for now.
Wonderful. So we actually also have a few questions from 3 different residents that are all on a similar topic in regards to housing. For example, what's being planned in terms of traffic and parking as Lafayette continues to satisfy the state's mandate for continually increasing housing and population? And then also there was a separate question about GPAC, and if maybe you could touch on the process and how that's going. So kind of trying to combine a couple questions together here just for the sake of time.
Okay, and so I will touch on transportation. We had, we talked in my comments and regularly at our city council meetings, transportation, both in terms of safety and congestion and parking, and all of those things are very important, and they will be elements that will be studied in our local road safety plan. And also in this year, we're also doing the La Miranda Action Plan as a regional, on the regional level, to address transportation and congestion. And so working with with Moraga and Orinda. It's also, I'll probably let Greg or Mike touch on anything else that they might want to add.
I'd be happy to add. So yes, there are these competing interests for space, for land, housing and parking. And so the city still maintains, if you visit lovelafayette.org/planning, there's a lot of resources there. In terms of parking in the downtown, 5 to 7 years ago, a study was done and I think found over 10,000 parking spaces throughout the downtown, but you wouldn't necessarily know that because a lot of them are kind of sequestered and not publicly accessible. And so the long vision is to make more of those spaces publicly available through incentives that are laid out in the white paper and the parking ordinance. There are statutory requirements that we have to deal with from the state. So if it is proximate to transit, the BART station, we can only require so many spaces, but we're finding that developers generally want to provide more parking than is required because that's what the buyers would like. So, and then all of the, correct me if I'm wrong, Narup, but my understanding is that all of the revenues, used to be coins, that come from all of the parking meters goes into a parking fund, and those funds are used to provide more public parking, like the new parking lot down by Ace Hardware and the hotel, and 949 Moraga Road. So that money is just put right back into providing more public parking. So.
That is correct, and it also pays for parking enforcement, but there is a portion that's set aside as the parking fund.
And then maybe, Greg, if we could ask, could you also maybe just touch on where GPAC is in the general plan update process?
Happy to. So the council initiated a general plan update. Our last general plan was adopted, comprehensive update, in 2002, and Narup and I both got to work on that. And it served us well. It has really good bones, and so the kind of rule of thumb for general plan is that they are good for 20 to 25 years, and we are at 20 years. And so the council initiated a general plan update process, and as I mentioned, there are a minimum of 7 mandatory elements: housing, land use, circulation, safety, and open space preservation, noise. And so it is a multi-year process, but the one that is first, because of state mandatory deadlines, is the housing elements. So that we have to have a certified housing element. It's the only element in the general plan that requires state review and certification. So I'll leave it at that. And that is why that is the first element, but it'll be followed by other elements.
Thank you.
Thank you. And additionally, we have received another question related to development in town, and they also had a question. They understand there's a petition to protest the state taking away local control of our building plans. Could someone provide an update about that topic?
So I think Greg touched on the first question in terms of building and development. And so I want to thank everybody for their input and their concerns, and for, as I've been encouraging people to do, providing public engagement on the petition and the statewide ballot proposition. The council did hear about it earlier, had some questions, and it will be coming back to the council this Monday. Our legislative consultant will be bringing an update on legislation, including ballot propositions, and then the council will also be looking at and hopefully adopting our legislative platform for this session. And then as part of bringing back other propositions for council discussion and action, that'll happen at our second meeting in February. I think that answers the question. So I encourage you to come to our council meeting and hear more about it.
Great, thank you. We do have a number of other questions. Mayor Gerringer, the next question says, thank you for your leadership around safety and your support of the Vision Zero that will bring positive change to Lafayette. Can you describe the city's governance process for Vision Zero? For example, will the city form a cross-functional Vision Zero governing body to prioritize issues and ensure accountability? And how would a governance function connect with the local road safety plan?
And then do you want me to incorporate? I did see that.
There is yes, there's a two-parter. So the second part of the question is, can you provide a time frame for when we'll see new street projects that incorporate Vision Zero principles? And will Stanley students in this school year celebrating a safer school street?
And perhaps Mayor Mike Moran can help you with that schedule. Please go.
Okay, no, absolutely. I was going to turn it over to Mike, but in terms of the governance structure and the task force that is part of developing the local road safety plan, which will be our Vision Zero plan as well. As I mentioned, we have the RFP out for the consultant. I don't think I mentioned that we have already received interest from some consultants to work with us in developing that plan. And as part of that, a proposal or recommendation will come to the council connected with the approval of the consultant contract to have the council discuss and decide how that governing task force will work. I do know that it is recommended or preferred that the stakeholders, the actual people who work on those issues, so our police, our school districts, city staff are also engaged in that process. And so that's a decision that will come to the recommendation and decision the council will make. And then Mike, do you want to touch on Vision Zero projects?
Sure. Vision Zero projects. We've actually deferred one project because we know that we should look at that project with a Vision Zero lens, if you will, and perhaps change pedestrian routes and bicycle routes. And that's for Moraga Road between St. Mary's Road and Mount Diablo Boulevard, where probably almost everybody in the city will use that corridor at some point. So it's a very important project. Some of our other projects we will already be looking at from a Vision Zero lens, if you will. For example, ramps on corners, even if we're just surface sealing, or restriping so there's a better pedestrian route and things like that. But full implementation of that will probably be our projects that we're planning for 2023. And that does include that Mount Diablo, well, Moraga Road corridor and over at Olympic Boulevard as well. So we'll already start looking with an eye towards Vision Zero, but projects that you could say definitely are going to be Vision Zero incorporated into our capital projects, certainly by next year. And then the exception to that is, you know, the safety improvements near schools. There are some quick build things that we want to put into play sooner than that, certainly by next school year, which starts in August. So we're getting those tool reports, we're getting some recommendations. There will be some quicker build things that should be implemented before your children start the next school year in August. So was there another aspect of that I needed to speak to? The local roadway safety plan, I will just say, work should start on that in earnest once in April. It's about a 5 or 6 month process to put together a plan. I would not anticipate a final plan until about October of 2023. So I think that's important for the public to know as well.
Thank you.
We did receive a related question, so maybe, Mike, if you can just confirm this was answered when you were talking about Vision Zero, but we also were asked, what's our action plan for improving the quality and coverage of sidewalks and other pedestrian infrastructure? So do you want to nod ahead and let me know if you think that was covered, if you want to address it?
I don't know that it was covered. I think that it will have to be worked out as part of our local roadway safety plan, because to be perfectly honest, historically, we have not had funding to, for example, add sidewalks. The pathways we've added, particularly near schools, often had another funding source that were added to what we did. Or even some matching funds from residents in the Happy Valley, Upper Happy Valley, Acalanes Road areas. So if we're going to look at that differently, I think that's going to come through the local roadway safety plan, and we're going to need a different funding structure.
Excellent. Two more questions we've received before we get on to our entertainment portion of the evening. So the next question is, what is Lafayette doing to reduce its climate change footprint?
I muted myself, but hi. So I actually just had the opportunity to respond and be interviewed by Acalanes Blueprint editors. Some of the examples of what we have been doing is to reduce our reliance on to look at ways to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. And so we're in the process of looking and upgrading our electrification and EV standards throughout the community. We have also our environmental task force, and I believe within the next month or so is bringing a proposal to us on using alternatives to gas-powered landscaping tools, so leaf blowers, and also, again, to look at the electrification. And I know that there are others on staff and council members who we're all very deeply committed to finding ways to do it, and look forward to continuing to work with to reducing our impact and to working with our community and our environmental task force.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And then our final question that we've received for the evening, this resident said we've received some gang type tagging last year that was reported. What is the extent of gang infiltration in our town?
Well, I am going to rely on the chief to answer that question.
So not to call his name who answered or posed the question, but I would encourage them to email me directly. I want to get clarification on what they're asking. We did have a couple different tagging things that occurred. One involved what some people viewed as anti-Semitic on a property. And so, and then there was another one that referenced some negative things towards law enforcement. Those are the two that I'm aware of, but I'd be happy if the person who asked the question wanted to reach out to me directly to discuss further. As far as gang infiltration, for several years now, this goes back to the previous chief, and I've enjoyed the same support through a variety of camera projects and other enhanced enforcement projects. We've done a very successful job in minimizing gang activity. And making it really clear that if you come to Lafayette to commit a crime, we will come find you, whether we have to tow your car from Marin County or from Santa Clara County to process it for evidence. My officers regularly go outside of our county to do follow-up. And I've enjoyed the support of our city council and city manager in spending resources to make it really clear that if you come here, we will come find you. I think a great example is the home invasion crimes we had in 2019. A lot of money went into that investigation, a lot of effort. It resulted us in being in a different county, finding those suspects and bringing them to justice on those crimes. And so specific to gangs, very little, but if the person who asked the question would like to reach out specific to what tagging they're referencing, I'd be happy to follow up with them. So thank you.
Ben,
Wonderful.
can you share the Lafayette tip line with the community?
Yeah, so we do have an email tip line. It's on the back of all of our patrol cars. It's 94549, our zip code, tip@gmail.com. That email goes to every staff member, both sworn and professional staff. So whether you have a traffic concern, whether you have a crime concern, or you like a vacation home check, or you want to report something that you think is unusual, please email us there. You'll get an automated reply saying we received it. But you'll also probably get another reply from an actual staff member saying, hey, what do you have, or we'll be following up on it, or we'll be in touch with you. So that is the fastest way to get a hold of everybody on duty and off duty at Lafayette PD is 94549tip@gmail.com.
Wonderful, thank you. So I want to be mindful of everyone's time. We actually are a couple minutes past 7, but we do still have our entertainment for the evening. So before we enjoy that piece of music, I did just want to thank the mayor and Fred, the staff that's present this evening that you saw on camera and also that are attending, as well as all of the council members who are in attendance at this event this evening. So I wanted to give a big thank you to everyone who participated this evening as an attendee or that you heard speaking. And for some questions that came in a little bit late, staff will follow up directly with you on those, but we are unfortunately out of time for this evening. So to wrap things up, I am happy to introduce Mr. Bob Uthade, who's the Director of Music Education at Stanley Middle School.
Thanks so much for allowing me to be here. Thank you, Mayor, and everyone associated with the city. This is my 35th year as Director of Music Education at Stanley Middle School. And I have to tell you that COVID really threw a wrench in it. If you were Richard Whitmore and you became the superintendent, or if you were Betsy Balmat and you were the principal of my school, you could not have imagined how difficult this has been. And I have to, do a shout out to those two people and everybody associated with the school district and school board who have gotten us, pretty much through this and just keep on keeping on. And they work so hard, and I'm glad I don't have to do their thing. All I have to do is play music. And a special shout out also to John McCormick, Business Person of the Year. I had no idea. I'm sorry I didn't know that. But boy, La Marinda Music really gives us service. And the Lafayette Rotary, who helps us so much, Mr. Dick Holt, who's created the concert at the Res. You're going to have fun. It's free, and you need to be there Saturday, May 13th. So please make sure that you're there. And also an incredible thank you to the Julia Burke Foundation and the Generations in Jazz who support everything we do at Stanley. And right now we have the Stanley Middle School Symphonic Band playing for you. And it was very funny. A student said today, Mr. Thade, when are we going to do the final for that presentation? I said, no, that was yesterday. And they didn't even know, man. We did 3 takes and we did 2 takes. And I said, is that your best effort? And the kid says, no. And so now, boom, this is it. Thank you so much for listening to us. And please come anytime to check out Stanley Middle School and our performances. You're really going to love them. Thank you.
Well, sorry that we didn't get to hear all of that song, but Mr. Uthade, we definitely appreciate your students recording that for us and for you coming this evening to be part of this State of the City address for 2020. So thank you again to everyone else that participated this evening. And as we close out, I will share the slideshow that we did have at the beginning of the call as well for folks to enjoy some of the reasons, just some of the few reasons that we love Lafayette. There are so many, and we are so glad that everyone was able to join us this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good evening.
Thank you.